Can you tell I'm in Japan?
Can you tell?
What's up, all you doodles and doodlers out there, you schemers and dreamers, and welcome back to another episode of Doodle Talk. This is the big 2-0. We are no longer teenagers. We're not the angsty teen anymore. We're a hopeless, helpless 20-something-year-old trying to figure out what their place in this world is and what the meaning of life is. So, and if you haven't noticed, I have a new background set prop thing. This is I believe the technical name for it is a paper slider door thingy, partition divider wall thing. And yeah, I've seen a few things and people do this. Trash Taste does kind of a thing like this. They're definitely a big inspiration for that. But yeah, I've always wanted to get one of these, and you know, my room is kind of messy in the back. I have the posters and stuff, but I don't really love the way it looks like on camera like this, and I really wanted to try this out. So I went online and I found one. It's got the sakura, like the cherry blossom trees, like printed onto it. Really cool. It's pretty big too. I don't know if you can really tell the size. It wasn't super cheap, unfortunately, but it's pretty well made, and yeah, I'm gonna try it out. So hopefully, moving forward, this is probably what you're gonna see for Doodle Talks and probably all of my YouTube videos that you see me talking in the video. I'm still working out how I'm trying to place it. It's actually really close to me. I don't know if you can tell that either from I'm giving away the movie magic. It's really close. And I think it looks awesome with the RGB light there reflected on there, shining on it too. Really excited about that. It looks cool too. I think it just looks more official, more cool. I don't know, like an actual background set. And if you couldn't tell, I'm in Japan. Did you know? Hey, could you tell? Did you know that I live in Japan? I mean, this is like 10-year-old Sam, all of his dreams, weeaboo, kind of weeb dreams coming true. I even have the Yu Yu Hakusho t-shirt on today too. Yeah, we're going back to the past for this one. And just a few things to go over before I jump into the main topic for today. I was talking about it last time for Doodle Island, the short animation that came out, but I hadn't posted it yet. When I actually showed it during last week's episode too. If you haven't seen that, you can check it out. I was talking about schedules and how to make schedules that work for you and what's working for me recently. And I just wanted to touch on Doodle Island again because now I've posted it. It's out there. It's been out for a couple of days, and yeah, still really happy with it. Still glad how it turned out. People are liking it, so that's pretty cool. It's not blowing up or anything like that, but I didn't really expect it to. And by the time this comes out, I should have the custom Emma. This is not it. This is an Emma, but I took a blank one, like looked more like this, and I did a custom paint job on it, and that one was awesome. So please go check that video out. I think it turned out pretty cool. Like the Emma itself turned out pretty cool, but that video actually, I think to date is my best YouTube video I've ever done. And like the pacing's pretty good. I kept it pretty short. It was only like 7 minutes long, I think. I tried out a few things of like, you know, the whole process of how I shot like the A roll and the B roll, and like going through the process of making it. And I think the best thing about the video is kind of the shots at the end that show like the final product. I think I got some really cool shots, like use a little bit of the lights and did some cool like zooms and pans and stuff. And I'll try and throw up just a few shots on here while I'm talking about it. But yeah, that was one of those things where like I was not expecting much at all to come from that, like that part of the video in particular. Then that part of the video became so awesome that it like got me hyped, and now I'm really excited to put that video out, and I think it turned out amazing. And this is what I want to talk about today, is like how to rein in your expectations for projects that only take a short amount of time for you to complete, and projects that take a long time for you to complete, and how to not get discouraged when you see that something you spent 12 hours on gets like 10 views, and then something you spent 30 minutes on gets like 3,000. And I think it's really pertinent to like what I've been going through this week, really too, and what I've been thinking about for today's topic, is like this is the perfect example, right? I have a few examples, but this is a good one, right? So Doodle Island, the short animation that I did over a little bit under 2 weeks, probably, I'm not exactly sure, but it's like at least like 8 to 12 hours. So I'm going to average it around 10 hours. Let's just say 10 hours of work from storyboard to finish, like exporting the final thing. Cause I did the animation and the music and the sound and stuff too, everything. With Tim, my friend Tim Ross. What's up, Tim? Helped me with the drums for the music on there. But all I'm trying to say is like, the whole process took me a long time. And then you have the Emma video took me a long time, but I think just that part, like I had this idea for the showing off the final product and stuff. I just wanted to get some cool shots, like how everybody does that. And that was like, I had a little idea in my head, and it took me like, I don't know, like a couple minutes to shoot it. And then I was even editing it. It only took me like 10 minutes to come up with something that was pretty cool. So let's just be generous and say like 30 minutes in total of shooting and editing that part. And it turned out awesome. And I think it's going to do really well as like a clip and that part of the video. And that's 30 minutes compared to 10 hours, possibly even longer. And then I have another example here. This is what I was thinking of this as like the two things that I was kind of comparing, is the Pokemon mashup videos and the Doodle Island animation. Because you have the Pokemon mashup videos that I'm doing one a week, and they take me anywhere, because I have to plan it. I shot some more of me like pulling the names and themes out of the cup, the bowl, and then I have to plan it, I have to draw it, and then I have to put together the footage at the end, which really doesn't take me that long. So it's like anywhere between like an hour to 3 hours, and that's being very generous. Like 3 hours, I mean, if I get really into it and there's a lot of details, it could take me 2 to 3 hours, including all the coloring and painting and stuff. But all I'm trying to say is like, let's say you average that out at like 2 hours, then you have 10 to 12 hours versus 2 to 3 hours. The Doodle Island animation would have taken me 5 to 6 times longer than the Pokemon mashup. And if I asked you which one do you think is performing better, like just on a general basis, it's pretty obvious that the Pokemon mashup is probably performing better, right? Like you would not be wrong in saying that, and it's like that's pretty obvious, right? So this is the thing, and I think a lot of artists experience this. This is why I wanted to talk about it, because I mean I've experienced it for forever, and it's something you have to cope with, you have to learn how to cope with, and you have to learn how to not let it get you down. And that is, like I said, not how to deal with not getting good performance out of something you spent so long making. And then on the flip side, if you're lucky enough, how to reconcile with the fact that sometimes something that you spent 30 minutes on is going to get you more attention and perform better than the thing you spent 12 hours on, right? How do you deal with that? How do you reconcile that? And how do you use that information to get better and keep going? That's what I want to talk about. And it's hard because, like, I've given those examples, right? And I don't feel bad. It's not like the Doodle Island animation just like bombed and people are like, you suck. Like no one's commenting on that video being like, this is hot garbage, dude. Like what the actual fuck is going on? That would be kind of another thing. And this comes too with like, you gotta have confidence in yourself, right? Because this is a key component here, is like being able to reconcile and deal with the things of like not getting the performance out of something you spent 10 hours on comes with being able to be confident in your work and in yourself. Because if like with the Doodle Island animation, I was like, this is for me. I need to learn some things. I want to learn some things. I want to try some things out. So no matter how well this does, I know it's like helping me already into the future and stuff like that. So I was already like at a net positive, and it was just something I've always wanted to try and do. But not every project that takes you 10 hours is like that. You could be working on a painting, and man, no matter how hard you try, at the end of the 10 hours of working on it, it's just not how you wanted it to turn out. And maybe you learned a few things here and there, but really, like, for the amount of time you spent, the value just doesn't seem worth it. And that happens. That happens to everyone. And it's like, that's the one that sucks the most, right? Because if you learn a lot from something and it just doesn't perform well, like, at least you have that. At least you can take that away, right? But if you don't learn anything and it literally just feels like you just wasted your time and it doesn't perform well, like, that sucks. That's really shitty. And, you know, on the flip side, spending an hour on something and seeing it blow up on Instagram Reels or, like, you know, Shorts or TikTok or whatever it is, Twitter, it can give you like this false confidence in some of your stuff. Or here's the other thing. Because if you need confidence in yourself and your work in order to post the things that take a long time, knowing that you might not get the performance reaction that you want, you also have to have the wherewithal to know that even if something that is short form or didn't take you a long time performs really well, you have to know that it's enticing to want to drop everything and just do that and, like, keep doing that. But I think you have to have a little restraint and a little bit of I think you have to be able to recognize whether or not it's really something you should dig your heels into, or whether or not it's just something that popped off just because. And I think it's hard to tell, and I don't think it's like a cut and dry, like, yes or no kind of thing. But if you go too hard into only producing things that, like, take you 30 minutes to an hour, that may not be your best work, but you know are, like, gonna go viral or, like, be really socially acceptable, you may end up doing yourself a disservice at the end of the day. That's what I'm trying to get at here, is, like, you have to be able to tell what's working and what's not working. And this is why I think like a healthy balance of the two is really the sweet spot here. This is the main point that I'm trying to make to myself right now. So I'm trying to, like, rationalize it and see if it works. But from what I've seen so far is, like, doing something that takes 10 to 15 hours, besides that kind of one time where you just didn't go well and you didn't learn a lot from it, most of the time you're going to learn something from it. You're going to get better. Partly just because if you sit down and you're drawing something, you're, you know, drawing, inking, coloring, animating, painting for that many hours, 10 hours, like, that's good. You're adding to your, your 110,000 hours or whatever it is. Like, you're just going to be getting better on a fundamental level most of the time. And if you're not, because here's the thing too, is, like, I've seen a lot of artists that kind of, like, and this is no slight against them, but I've seen some artists where, like, they kind of pop off on something when they're, like, just kind of still maybe, like, they're not beginners at all, but, like, they're kind of, like, intermediate level. Like, you can tell, like, it's really cool, maybe they have a cool style, but, like, you can tell there's still, like, some, like, basics or fundamentals missing. And then you see them, like, a year later and they haven't really grown as an artist, and they've just been, like, producing the exact same content for, like, a year straight. And maybe it was popping off back a year prior, but, like, then it's not, and you just see them kind of stagnate. And that's something I've noticed from a few artists, and it's you know, it's a little bit eye-opening, because you're like, okay, that's the point where you tell yourself, like, don't get trapped in the trap of, hey, this is performing well, let me just double down, triple down, quadruple down, and literally just do this one thing for, like, a year straight. And I do want to add a caveat there, because you do want to, right, like, if something performs well and you realize you're getting a good, like, reaction out of it and stuff like that, you definitely should pursue that thing if you're having fun doing it, if you think it can help grow you as an artist or a creator. There is nothing wrong with that, and I think that's a super important thing. I just am trying to make a distinction here, where it's like, normally that's a step kind of thing, right? You're like, oh, this niche, this video, this thing performed really well, let me do it again, and then you see something else and you tweak it, and then you do this other type of video. And I think you're kind of making these, like, parallel but still like ascending steps that are going up, right? But if you literally, like, if you see me still doing the exact same Pokemon mashup videos that I'm doing right now, like a year or 2 years from now, like, call me out, please. Hopefully I won't be doing that exact same thing, because if I am, even if it's doing well for whatever reason, I still want to be doing other things as an artist and like growing and like testing myself, because I guarantee you if I was doing the exact same thing, especially because it's like they're not the most amazing videos in the world right now, so if I was doing that exact same thing a year from now, that would be bad, right? Because I would only be making this like maybe slightly like upward ascending parallel line, like not even like skipping across or doing the other things like I was talking about, right? And that would be a problem for me personally. If you like to do like stuff like that, if you like to kind of find your niche and just stick to it, that's totally fine, especially if you're amazing at it. That's kind of the thing too. This is also under the umbrella of like you're kind of exploring and trying out different things. If you're amazing at one thing and that's all you want to do, that's all you have time for, please, that is what you should do. Do not take my advice as someone trying to say like if you find a niche like that's bad, that stunts your growth. That is not what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is like, for me, I've found a good balance in seeing what works and then finding time for like those passion projects, because that's what's probably going to give you the most like value, the most worth, right? When you see something like that. When I finished the Doodle Island animation, I know it's not the best. I know there's a million things I wish I could do better, but damn, I was pretty proud of myself, because that was like something, and I did it in a pretty short amount of time, like within 2 weeks. Even though I spent a lot of hours on it, it's still a pretty short amount of time, and that makes me feel good. And then I see that, and then I check it off on my schedule, and that feels good. And this is the other thing that I wanted to talk about, is like kind of going off of what I was talking about with the schedules last week. When you check that thing off on your to-do list or your schedule, and you can just move on to the next one, or you post that YouTube video and it feels good, you're done, you get to move on to the next one, or you're already working on the next one, like that's an amazing feeling. And I think the balance here is having let's say, I don't have a good number for this, but to quantify it, I would say probably like 80-20 or 70-30. Probably, let's say 70-30, right? As long as 70% of the time can fulfill your needs for like how often you want to be posting and uploading content and stuff like that. So for example, let's say 70% of the time you're working on things, this doesn't have to relate to short form and long form content. It's just with like the things, how much time you're investing into each project. So let's say 70% of the time you're investing into the short time projects, something that does not take you a long time. So for me, like just for example, right now that would be like Pokemon mashups. Let's say I was doing like 2 Pokemon mashups a week and 1 Doodle Talk, and that was like 70% of what I was posting in 1 week. And then the other 30% would just go to me working on a longer project that would say take me 2 weeks every time I wanted to produce that thing, which could be like, let's say it's a short animation or a slightly longer YouTube video, because that would work perfectly, right? Doodle Talk I would consider something that doesn't take me too much time. I've been able to get the workflow down. But we can just, to simplify everything, let's just do this Pokemon mashup and as like the short time investment, and then a short animation or a full length 10-minute YouTube video as the long time investment. As long as I'm meeting the quota of what I've set for myself for producing the short time investment projects, I can still spend the other 30% working on the longer YouTube videos or the animations, the passion projects that I want to do. And that way I still get the fulfillment of doing those passion projects and getting those longer things out there, the longer form content that I've, maybe is the real thing that I really, really, really want to be doing and want to be known for, But I'm not ignoring the other side of it, which is the, short time investment aspect of like doing something like the Pokemon mashups, or doing a little reel, or doing a quick little, TikTok thing. I don't know, whatever it is, right? And I think when you find a good balance for what works for you, because maybe you could do 50-50. If you only need 50% of your time to spend on the short time investment projects, then that's amazing. That's great. Then you have 50% left of your time to maybe dedicate to a longer form project. Even if that was like, you spend 50% of your time working on a video essay that's going to you're going to post once a month on YouTube. And the other 50% of your time is working on these shorter time investment projects like a I don't know, a dub kind of like TikTok thing, or like a reel that you do that's like a time lapse or something like that, right? It all comes down to you. The percentage split doesn't really matter. All I'm saying is like, one way to avoid that feeling of like, why isn't it working? Why am I not like getting the numbers I want with the things that I'm spending so much time on? Is partly because you're putting too many of your eggs in one basket, and you're just hoping that it's like, I spent 10 hours on it. Why didn't 10,000 people watch it? It doesn't work that way, right? You're doing the thing that you're trying not to do, which is like letting the performance and the views and the likes affect you as your own self-worth, right? In order to get out of that, do your best with what you can do with the short time investment projects that will probably, most likely, if you're doing it correctly, it's going to get more views, it's going to be more consumable, more people are going to watch, hopefully get more traffic into your channel or your website, whatever it is. And then you leave enough time, whatever works for you, leave enough time to work on those passion projects, so that at the end of the day, the end of the month, when you've done one or two of those passion projects that you wanted to do, you feel good enough about doing all the other work to the point where you're going to feel fulfilled, and you're going to feel good enough, and you're going to feel like you're still progressing, and you're still going to have enough content and enough things to post, right? That's the balance that I'm trying to find right now, and I'm getting close because I'm still getting used to doing all this stuff. But just in the past couple of weeks, this has really helped me. So if you're someone who struggles with that feeling of like why isn't it's not working kind of thing, right? Like, we all know that struggle. We all know that feeling. It's in the inside of our head 24/7, especially when something you spent so long doesn't do well on social media or whatever. It can be physical. It can be anything, like a painting doesn't sell, whatever. It doesn't just apply to this. There's a way you can get around it, and you just have to be like real with yourself, and you got to be practical and pragmatic about it. But you also just have enough time to do the things that are going to bring you fulfillment and joy. And then also make sure you have enough time to do the grindy stuff, to do the hustling, to do the promotion, to post things on social media. All that stuff, it sucks, but it takes time. You gotta copy paste shit all the time. You gotta do all these promotions and putting things out there. There could be 0 people seeing it at the end of the day. You don't know, but you gotta do it, because if you really want to go for it, if you're really gonna go for it, you gotta do all this kind of grindy shit. But all I'm trying to say is, do that. Don't give up on anything you're trying to do. But if you have enough time and availability in your schedule, make time for those little passion projects or the long time investment projects. It doesn't have to be a passion project. Find time, make a little bit of time for those things that are gonna bring you joy and fulfillment, and add that into your schedule, because at the end of the day, it's gonna make you feel a lot less bad about not getting the performance out of something that you were hoping for. And if you do it right, it's just gonna bring you fulfillment. It's gonna make you happy. It's gonna make you improve as an artist. And at the end of the day, that's probably better than all the views and likes or anything that you might get off of it anyways. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.